Hello and welcome to the short Vort on Parshas Tzav. This series is dedicated to the shleimah for my father, Naftali ben Yita. Lev Eliyahu Lapian, 1876 to 1970, in his Sefer Lev Eliyahu on Parshas Tzav, there's a segment called Al Tam Ba'azmecha. It's about the battle against the Yetzer Hara. In it, he discusses a Rasha that is not like the one that you expect to see at the Pesach Seder. He cites Rabeinu Yona in the Yarei Chet Perak Beis, who defines the Rasha not as you expect to see at the Seder, one who commits averos with disgust about the mitzvos, b'shat, nefesh. Rather, Rabeinu talks about a Rasha who is one who can't control his taivos. He does them all with tremendous gusto and tremendous energy. He goes, off the top just to find his pleasures, even if they're mutter. And when it comes, though, however, to doing mitzvos, he does mitzvos. He puts on tefillin and sits and learns Torah, but he doesn't have the enthusiasm when he does them. He goes through the motions, but his heart does not feel enjoyment when he does his spiritual pursuits the same way he feels it for his physical acts. Now, if one of us feels the same way, at least in some level, for this, then Rabeinu Yona provides an advice how to get more into doing the mitzvahs, to get more simcha in doing Hashem's commandments. And that is through Reishis Chachma Yiras Hashem. He says, Yorei Shamayim warms the heart of a man and changes man's calculations. How does one achieve this? By learning of Musar, which is virtue-based ethics, improving one's character. Now, it happens to be that last night at Rabbi Noach Isaac Oelbaum's Hashkafa Shiur in Orchos Yosher by Rabbi Chayim Kanievsky, 1928 to 2022. He just had his first Yarei Chet. There he discussed a related topic in his chapter on Birchas Chet. Ashkenazim, when we bench Birchas HaChodesh, we say Chayim sheyesh b'hem Yorei Shamayim v'Yirאת Chet. We desire a life that has fear of heaven and fear of sin. Now, what is the difference between fear in heaven and fear of sin? They seem very similar. Why mention it twice? So while the segment teaches about Yirאת Chet is actually a greater title for someone than someone who's just a Talmud Chacham, because the purpose of Talmud Torah is to become a Yirאת Chet. Rabeinu Yona in Pirkei Avos, we're back with Rabeinu Yona, says that adding siyagim to fences to not do sins is a greater indication of a devotion to Hashem than just doing mitzvahs. So the difference between Yorei Shamayim is pashut. One doesn't do averos when you have Yorei Shamayim, but one who has Yirאת Chet, that's when you add siyagim. You put these fences to forbid even things that are permissible otherwise if they could lead to sin. So the more one distances from one and fears sin, the more Hashem will give him divine protection. In conclusion, I'd like to share an amazing story on this last thought about divine protection. It involves the base of Levy of Yosef Dov Soloveitchik and Maharal Diskin, Reb Yeshua Lev Diskin. One year was the day before Yom Kippur, and the Maharil calculated that the base of Levy wouldn't get back home with much time before Yom Kippur, and he said there's a mitzvah to eat on the day before Yom Kippur, the 9th of Tishrei, and therefore he made some chicken for him, prepared his chicken, he gave it to him. On the train, after a while, after learning the Brisker Rav, he took out the chicken and was ready to eat it, but it smelled bad. So he put it away. He learned a little more, and he said, let me try it again. Maybe it'll be better now. The second time, he smelled it, and it just smelled bad. So there was a guy in the car with him who was observing this, and he said, I'm an expert. I'm in the chicken business, and I can tell, just by smelling if something is good or not in the chicken. And can I smell it? And he said, sure. He gave it to him to smell, and he said, this is perfectly fine. Maybe it's different spices that you don't like, but there's nothing wrong with this chicken. A few minutes later, the Brisker Rav tried for a third time to eat the chicken, and it smelled worse than any of the previous times. And he put it back. The guy asked, "Can I eat it?" "It's fine by me," and he let him eat it. When they got to Brisk, there was a telegram waiting, Rabbi Yosef Yosher Ber, and it says, "Don't eat the chicken, it's treif." Of course, he hadn't eaten the chicken. When they told this to the Maharil, they said, "I knew Hashem would not let him make a sin of this. Hashem would give him divine protection. But from my end, I was obligated to warn him." So we see that being involved in having Yorei Shamayim and Yarei Chet, those are ways to elevate us and make us more desirable ahead of this Yontiv of Pesach. Wishing you all a good Shabbos and Chag Kosher V'Sameach. Thank you for listening. Have a wonderful week and a wonderful Pesach.